Juan Catalan, 24, loved baseball, especially the Los Angeles Dodgers. So much so that he gifted his mother tickets to a Dodgers game, knowing that she wouldn't go and that he would end up with the tickets. And so it happened. On the evening of May 12, 2003, Juan went to the stadium with his friends and young daughter. If he hadn't, he'd probably be on death row right now. Juan Catalan was born in 1979 in Los Angeles, USA. He was an ordinary citizen from a Mexican family. Since childhood, Juan loved sports, especially baseball. Growing up in a working-class family, he started working at an early age to help improve his family's financial situation. Until 2003, Juan lived an ordinary life. He worked in the auto repair business and supported his family. His favorite team was the Los Angeles Dodgers, and he attended their games whenever he had the chance. But one day, his life changed forever. He was falsely accused of murder and faced the possibility of a death sentence. However, this injustice was unexpectedly resolved by a stroke of luck. This case not only changed his life, but also shifted the world's perspective on the justice system. On May 12, 2003, on Casey Avenue in Los Angeles, California, USA, a woman screamed hysterically over the body of her daughter, 16-year-old Martha Pueblo, lying on the asphalt near her home. The police officers who arrived questioned residents of nearby houses and learned that the shooter had gotten out of a black Chevrolet Malibu, which had been circling the street earlier. The police remembered a recent story from which Marta Pueblo was already known to them. 6 months ago, Christian Vargas, the boyfriend of Marta's friend Sofia, died in the same way near her house. The girls heard shots then, and Sofia told the police that Marta allegedly saw the shooter and told her that it was Marta's ex-boyfriend, a member of the gangster group Jose Ledesma. Marta, despite Sofia's statement to the police, denied this, claiming that she only heard shots, but did not see anyone. Nevertheless, the police visited Ledesma's house with a search. There they found the weapon from which, according to the examination, Christian was shot, as well as Ledesma's correspondence with other bandits, from which the conclusion followed that he and his accomplice Mario Catalan committed the crime. These two were arrested. Jose Ledesma and Mario Catalan did not confess to the crime against Christian Vargas. The police probably thought that the evidence of the weapons test alone was not enough. In order to get Ledesma to confess, they told him that Marta Pueblo had seen him shoot Vargas and had given this testimony to the investigation. And so, when, 6 months later, the fate of Christian Vargas befell Marta Pueblo, the motive for the police crime became clear from the very beginning: Ledesma's revenge on Marta for the testimony she had given against him. In reality, she had not given it, and the police had simply set the girl up. One of Ledesma's two friends obviously recognized her. The police had his name for a reason, but whether it was Marta, who had actually told her ex's name to her friend before the police arrived, or whether Sofia herself recognized him and, in order to protect herself, blamed it on her friend, is unknown. A detailed sketch of the criminal was made from the words of Marta's friend, who was sitting with her on the side of the road when a man with a gun approached them and asked the girl, "What is your name?" The name she said was her last words in life. The guy ran away. The criminal did not try to stop him in any way. The descriptions given by the guy were very consistent with the descriptions of Juan Catalan, the younger brother of Mario Catalan, who was arrested as an accomplice of Jose Ledesma. Juan led a quiet life, working in his father's carpentry shop. The composite sketch and descriptions were enough to arrest him as a suspect in the death of Marta Pueblo. In addition to the composite sketch and descriptions, the fact that he was identified by an eyewitness to the crime, a friend of Marta, was added as decisive evidence of his guilt. He faced the death penalty, but he stubbornly maintained his innocence. Juan's defense attorney, Todd Melnick, came to his defense. Juan had trouble remembering where he was the night of the murder, but his wife helped. On May 12, He was at a Los Angeles Dodgers baseball game with his daughter. Tickets from the game were found, but they did not prove that Juan was actually at the stadium. The administration provided surveillance footage, but it was almost impossible to find one person among 50,000 spectators. Melnick was losing hope when the lawyer's wife, a fan of the comedy series Curb Your Enthusiasm, reminded him that one of the episodes of the series was filmed at the same stadium on that very day. Melnick contacted HBO, where they confirmed that filming had indeed taken place at that stadium on May 12, 2003. Obtaining the footage was not so easy. Only after contacting the creator of the series, Larry David, did the lawyer manage to arrange a viewing of the footage. The lawyer was very lucky. One of the takes, accidentally caught on camera, captured Juan Catalan with his daughter. In one video, he was walking hand in hand with his daughter to his seat after the break, when the spectators were already in their seats. In another, he was seen sitting in the stands in a white t-shirt with the number 27 and holding his daughter's hand. This became the decisive evidence of his alibi. The prosecution, unwilling to admit the fact of illegal detention of an innocent person, protested against these videos, arguing that the video was filmed at 9:10 p.m. and the crime was committed at 10:30 p.m. They tried to prove that Juan still had enough time to leave the stadium, get to the crime scene, and commit the murder. But Catalan's lawyer didn't give up. He requested additional footage from the stadium's cameras, as well as his client's phone call data. Analysis of the footage showed that after 9:10 p.m., Juan was still at the stadium and did not leave until the end of the game. Moreover, the phone call details confirmed that he was calling his wife at the time of the crime, and the phone signal was detected in the stadium area, not near the murder scene. Despite such compelling evidence, prosecutors continued to resist. They claimed that the footage could have been doctored, and the phone call data could have been erroneous. However, at this point, the lawyer made another unexpected move. He requested all the raw footage from the Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm series from that evening. It was these materials that became the deciding factor. Among the unpublished footage, there was a moment where Juan Catalan was clearly visible on the podium at the very moment when the crime had already occurred. It was irrefutable proof of his innocence. A few days later, the judge reviewed all the evidence and ordered the release of Juan Catalan. After 5.5 months in prison, he was finally released. He later sued the authorities for unlawful imprisonment and won the case, receiving compensation. After his acquittal, Juan Catalan filed a lawsuit against the Los Angeles police, accusing law enforcement of unlawful arrest, unfair prosecution, emotional distress, and violation of his civil rights. The court found that the case against him was based on unproven allegations and faulty witness testimony, which led to an unfair 6-month imprisonment. As a result, Juan won the case and received compensation in the amount of $320,000. This case caused a great public outcry. The media covered the trial in detail, pointing out the unprofessionalism and bias of the investigation. Many people were outraged that the justice system almost sent an innocent man to death based only on the testimony of one witness. After the end of all the proceedings, Juan's lawyer said, "This is a real miracle." If Juan had stayed home that day, his words, as well as the words of his wife, would not have convinced anyone. He would not have had an alibi supported by video footage, and he would simply not have been able to prove his innocence. He would have spent his entire life in prison or would have been sentenced to death for a crime he did not commit. As fate would have it, he bought tickets to the game that day, and that is how he was saved. After this incident, Juan Catalan decided to fight for the rights of people who were wrongly accused. He has appeared in the media on numerous occasions, telling his story and raising the issue of the mistakes of the judicial system. This case also became an important precedent in U.S. judicial practice, emphasizing the need for a thorough investigation and a critical approach to witness testimony. The investigation confirmed Jose Ledesma's words. investigators managed to track down the man he named as the perpetrator of Marta Pueblo's murder. It turned out to be Antonio Salgado, a previously convicted criminal who carried out orders for money. During interrogation, Salgado initially denied his guilt, but under pressure from evidence and proof, he eventually confessed that he had indeed received instructions from Ledesma and organized the attack. The investigation also established that another person participated in the crime, his accomplice Raul Mendez, who followed Marta and told her when she would be alone. Irrefutable evidence was presented in court. Recordings of telephone conversations, witness statements, and material evidence. Antonio Salgado and Raul Mendez were sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Jose Ledesma, who had already served a prison term for previous crimes, received an additional life sentence without the possibility of appeal. The court found him the main organizer of the murder and noted the particular cruelty of the crime. This case caused a great public outcry. People discussed how easily criminals can organize crimes while behind bars. After this case, prisons tightened control over prisoners, limited their opportunities for secret communication, and revised the security system. Marta Pueblo's relatives finally received justice. Although it could not bring their daughter back, they were sure that the perpetrators would never be released again and would not be able to harm others. Thus ended one of the most amazing stories of a miscarriage of justice, in which evidence of innocence was found completely by accident. Juan Catalan spent 5.5 months in prison, fearing a possible death sentence. But thanks to the persistence of his lawyer, video footage from the filming of a comedy series and cell phone data, he was able to prove his innocence. After his acquittal, he not only won a lawsuit against the Los Angeles police, receiving compensation, but also became a symbol of the injustice of the judicial system. His story shows how easy it is to become a victim of accusations if you do not have a reliable alibi, and how important it is to fight for the truth to the end. The story of Juan Catalan is a vivid example of how chance can save a life, and the justice system is not always infallible. What do you think about this case? Leave your opinion in the comments. If you like this video, support it with a like and subscribe to the channel. This way you will help the development of the project and the release of new interesting stories. Turn on notifications so as not to miss new releases. Thank you for your attention.